Hello and welcome back. Pull up a chair, make yourself comfortable. If you are anything like me, you have probably fallen for the trap of the grand life overhaul. You know the feeling, it usually hits on a quiet Sunday evening. You look around at your life and you decide that everything needs to change immediately. You sit down with a fresh notebook and map out an impossibly rigorous schedule. You promise yourself that starting tomorrow morning, everything will be completely different. You're going to wake up at 5 every morning. You will meditate for an hour. You will write a best-selling novel before breakfast. You will hit the gym every day. And you will eat exclusively raw green and organic salads. It feels fantastic on Sunday night. You feel motivated. You feel inspired. Then Monday morning arrives. The alarm goes off at 5 o'clock. It is dark, it is cold, and you are tired. By Wednesday afternoon, the entire grand plan has completely collapsed. You find yourself sitting on the couch, eating biscuits, watching television, and feeling thoroughly defeated. You wonder why you have zero willpower. You assume that you are simply lazy or discipline challenged. But the problem was never your character. The problem was your strategy. Human beings tend to overestimate what they can achieve in a single week. And at the exact same time, we vastly underestimate what we can accomplish through tiny, compounding actions sustained over years. Today, we are looking at the quiet, undeniable power of the 15-minute daily habit. We are going to explore why building small, sustainable changes beats waiting for a magical silver bullet every single time. Part 1. The magic of compound interest in daily life. Let's talk about how momentum actually works in human behavior. We all understand the concept of compound interest when it comes to financial planning. If you invest a modest, unexciting amount of small money consistently over a long period, something interesting happens. In the beginning, nothing seems to change. The returns look ridiculously small. You look at your account after 3 months and wonder why you bothered saving £20 a week. But if you stay the course, interest begins to build upon interest. The trajectory curves upwards. Give it time enough, and that modest contribution turns into a substantial, life-changing foundation. Yet, for some reason, we rarely apply the exact same principle to our personal development. When it comes to our minds, our health, and our creative goals, we demand instant, dramatic results. We pick up a book. We expect our entire perspective on existence to shift by chapter 3. If we go for one solitary run around the park, we expect to look like an Olympic athlete by the weekend. When those massive Hollywood-style transformations fail to materialize instantly, we throw our hands up in frustration. We tell ourselves that the program does not work or that we simply don't have what it takes. Then we quit. As effective personal development strategies often remind us, consistency trumps intensity nearly every single time. Consider a simple example. Think about reading just 10 pages of a thoughtful, informative book every single day. 10 pages feels like almost nothing. It takes roughly 10 to 15 minutes. It will not transform your intellect by Tuesday afternoon. You will not feel like a genius when you close the book on Wednesday night. But do that every single day without fail for an entire year. By day 365, you have read 3,650 pages. That is roughly 15 to 20 substantial books under your belt. That is the fractional equivalent of a university-level education in subjects that actually matter to your personal growth. Small, daily habits are like depositing loose change into a jar that you keep in the back of the cupboard. A single coin feels useless. You cannot buy anything meaningful with a single piece of copper. But leave it alone, Keep adding to it quietly every day. Eventually, you pull down that jar and discover that you have built a secure, unbreakable foundation. Part 2. Why big goals fail without small systems. Let us take a closer look at why relying purely on motivation is a guaranteed losing battle. Motivation is a wonderful, delightful emotion. When it strikes, you feel invincible. You feel like you can conquer any goal, fix any problem, and reshape your life in an afternoon. But motivation is an unreliable friend. It is completely fickle. It comes and goes with the weather. It depends on how well you slept last night. It depends on your blood sugar levels, your stress at work, and whether someone said something mildly irritating to you in the queue at the supermarket. If your entire strategy for self-improvement relies on waking up every morning feeling passionately inspired, you are building an entire house on soft sand. Systems, on the other hand, do not care how you feel. A well-designed system carries you forward on the days when you feel sluggish, unmotivated, and completely flat. Think about brushing your teeth in the morning. You don't wake up, stare at the bathroom ceiling, and try to psych yourself up with a motivational speech about oral hygiene. You do not listen to a high-energy podcast just to get in the mood to pick up your toothbrush. You simply walk into the bathroom and brush your teeth. You do it because it's an established, frictionless part of your daily architecture. When you decide to introduce a new habit into your life, your goal should never be to force yourself through sheer, exhausting willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. It drains rapidly throughout the day as you make decisions, handle stress, and navigate daily life. Instead, your primary goal must be to lower the barrier of entry. Make the task so ridiculously small that it requires almost zero willpower to execute. Make it so easy that it actually feels foolish to say no. If you want to start a writing practice, do not sit down with the terrifying goal of drafting 3,000 brilliant words every day. Commit to writing 300 words, or better yet, commit to simply sitting with your notebook open for 10 to 15 minutes. If you want to move your body, do not demand a 2-hour grueling workout every day. Commit to 10 minutes of simple stretching on the living room rug. Make the starting line so close to your feet that you can step right over it without breaking a sweat. Part 3. Protecting your sacred 15 minutes. Now let us bring this principle down to earth and look at your actual calendar. 15 minutes sounds like a ridiculously small amount of time. In the grand scheme of a 24-hour day, 15 minutes is a mere blip. It is less than 1% of your day. Yet, finding an uninterrupted 15 minutes in our modern, hyper-connected world requires a surprising amount of intentionality. Where does your time actually go right now? If you pick up your phone and open the screen time settings, you might be unpleasantly surprised. Most of us bleed away hours every day in tiny 2-minute increments. We scroll through social media news feeds while waiting for the kettle to boil. We skim outrage headlines while sitting at red lights. We check our inbox for the 13th time whilst walking from one room to another. Protecting a 15-minute daily habit is not about finding extra hours in the day that is already packed to the brim. It is about reclaiming a tiny corner of your existing schedule and declaring it a sacred space. It might mean setting your alarm just 15 minutes earlier, stepping into a quiet room before the rest of the house wakes up, and drinking your tea in peace. It might mean turning off your phone completely during the last 15 minutes of your lunch break, instead of endlessly refreshing news apps. It might mean closing your laptop 15 minutes earlier at night and spending that time reflecting, journaling, or reading. This is not a project of deprivation. It is an act of gentle, deliberate redirection. You are taking mental energy that was previously leaking out into passive consumption and funneling it directly into your own personal development. When you show up for yourself for just 15 minutes every single day, a subtle but profound shift occurs in your internal self-image. You start to build genuine self-trust. You stop viewing yourself as someone who makes empty promises on Sunday nights and abandons them by midweek. You begin to recognize that you are a reliable, capable human being who keeps quiet promises to their future self. Part 4. Overcoming the psychological resistance. Let us address the quiet voice of resistance that will inevitably pop into your head. The moment you settle in on a 15-minute habit, your analytical mind will try to talk you out of it. Your brain will whisper, "What is the point of doing this for just 15 minutes? 15 minutes of reading is not going to make you wise. 15 minutes of learning a language will take forever to make you fluent. 15 minutes of exercise is not going to drop your weight or tone your body. Why bother unless you can do it properly?" This is the all or nothing trap. It is one of the most destructive mental habits that we possess. The ego loves grand gestures. It wants the drama of a complete transformation, the applause of a massive achievement, or the total collapse of a heroic effort. The ego despises modest, quiet, unglamorous consistency. You have to learn to recognize this all or nothing thinking for what it truly is: a clever excuse to do nothing at all. Doing something poorly or briefly is infinitely better than doing nothing perfectly. A 15-minute walk gets you out into the fresh air, moves your joints, and clears your head. A 0-minute walk leaves you sitting in your chair staring at a screen. 15 minutes of reading 10 pages expands your vocabulary and plants new ideas in your mind. 0 minutes of reading leaves your mind static. Never underestimate the power of showing up, even when your effort feels small or messy. The true purpose of the 15-minute habit is not just the physical output you produce during those 90 seconds or 15 minutes. The true purpose is maintaining the continuity of the habit itself. You are carving a groove into your neural pathways. You are establishing an identity. Once the groove is carved, expanding the time later becomes remarkably easy. But carving the groove in the first place requires showing up every single day. Part 5. The compound effect of mental clarity. Let us examine what happens to your mental ecosystem when you maintain this quiet rhythm over time. When your self-improvement practice stops being a frantic, panic-driven emergency and becomes a steady daily routine, your baseline anxiety begins to melt away. Most people live in a state of perpetual, quiet guilt about their personal growth. They feel guilty that they are not reading enough books, moving their bodies enough, learning enough skills, or spending enough time being present. That background guilt acts like open apps running on a smartphone battery. It constantly drains your mental real estate and leaves you feeling fatigued. When you commit to your sacred 15 minutes every day, that background guilt evaporates. You no longer need to worry about whether you are doing enough. You know that you have paid your daily dues to your future self. You can rest easy for the remaining 23 hours and 45 minutes of the day, completely free from that lingering sense of self-reproach. You realize that personal development is not a high-stakes exam that you will either pass or fail. It is an ongoing, lifelong conversation with your own potential. Some days, your 15 minutes will feel completely magical. The words will flow effortlessly onto the page. The book chapter will yield profound new insights, or the stretch will release months of built-up tension in your back. Other days, your 15 minutes will feel clunky, uninspired, and completely dull. You will stare blankly at the wall, struggle to focus, and count down the seconds until the time is up. That does not mean that you failed. It does not mean the system is broken. The ultimate value is not determined by the brilliance of your output on any given Tuesday. The ultimate value lies in the simple, quiet fact that you kept your promise and showed up anyway. Part 6. Designing your environment for frictionless success. To ensure your 15-minute habit actually survives past this coming week, we need to look at your physical environment. As we will discuss deeper in future videos, relying on memory and willpower to execute a daily habit is a strategy destined for failure. If you have to search for your book, find a pen, clear off a messy desk, or hunt for comfortable clothes every single time you want to start your 15 minutes, you will fail. Every tiny bit of physical friction gives your brain an opportunity to talk you out of doing this. You must design your physical space to make the habit completely frictionless. If your habit is reading 15 minutes before bed, place the book directly on your pillow the moment you make your bed in the morning. If your habit is writing in a journal every morning, leave the journal open on the kitchen table with a pen resting right on top of it the night before. If your habit is gentle movement, lay out your exercise mat in the middle of the living room before you go to sleep. Make the visual cue impossible to ignore. When you walk into the room, your environment should naturally pull you into the action without requiring you to make a conscious, effortful decision. By removing the physical friction, you bypass the inner debate entirely. You step smoothly into the action, complete your 15 minutes, and carry on with your day feeling accomplished. Conclusion. The gentle challenge. As we bring our conversation to a close today, I want to leave you with a very simple, practical challenge. Do not try to revolutionize your entire life by tomorrow morning. Remember our primary rule. We are attentive gardeners, not harsh mechanics. Take a moment right now to pick just one meaningful habit that you have been putting off. Pick something you keep on telling yourself that you do not have time for. It might be reading thoughtful literature, practicing a language, journaling, meditating, or working on a creative project. Scale that habit down aggressively until it fits comfortably inside a 15-minute window. Commit to protecting that 15-minute window every day for the next 7 days. No grand announcements on social media, no drastic life overhauls. Just a quiet, private appointment with yourself, kept consistently, day after day. See what happens when you give your mind the consistency, structure, and space it has been starving for. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this video resonated with you, hit the subscribe button and leave a quiet thought in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you right here next week as we continue our journey. Let's do it.